Hey everyone, it's Strange Michael. I hope you're doing well today, and I have a review here for a film that a friend of mine, Horror FFA, or Goosebumps Completionist if you know his other channel, has been talking about with me for a long time. Recommended to me over and over again. I never could find a place it was listed. He sent me a link to the full movie here on YouTube because it wasn't streaming anywhere else, and I finally got to see it while I was on vacation in Tennessee. It's actually the first movie I watched on vacation, matter of fact, and this little movie here has a very similar title to another movie, I'll get to that in a moment, but it came out in 1995. It's called Night of the Scarecrow, not to be confused with the 1981 classic TV movie, Dark Night of the Scarecrow. Essentially, this movie is about a scarecrow that has some other things about it, that it's brought back to life, essentially, or someone else was inside of the scarecrow after a couple of drunk teens are hanging around in a cornfield driving a tractor around. Why would you do that at nighttime? They did it though. And they drove over a slab of stone on the ground that, when uncovered, actually looks like some kind of seal or like a gravestone or something. Therefore, since it snapped in half, whatever spell was there to keep this soul, this person, I don't really want to tell you too much because there's a couple of really cool things I like about this lore-wise that I don't want to ruin for you. If I told them to you, it would kind of ruin the movie, I think, because I didn't know what I was getting into when I watched this. I didn't read a synopsis, didn't watch a review, nothing. Just jumped right into it. That's the way to do the movie. But it is a pretty brutal slasher movie, and it was wild. If you want to see scarecrows kill people, or a scarecrow in this situation, watch Night of the Scarecrow. Very cool flick for what it was. I don't think I loved it as much as my friend Horror FFA. I don't particularly think the acting is excellent or wonderful here. There's a couple of really solid performances, one being the villain, who is the Scarecrow coming to life. Another couple being a girl whose dad is the mayor. She comes back to the town for the first time in a while. She doesn't really have the best relationship with her dad, but she meets a guy, too, that works for her dad, and I like him. I think he's a pretty cool kind of male lead in the movie. I like the girl. She's beautiful, whatever. But it eventually devolves into the Scarecrow killing random people in the town. I think it was mostly well shot for what it was. I don't know if this was a TV movie or like a straight-to-video film, nor do I really care. If it made it to theaters, that would surprise me too because of the things in here. But it was a really surprisingly fun movie to watch. My friend has good taste. We usually like a lot of the same things. If this movie doesn't sound like your kind of thing, it's probably not going to be your kind of thing, to be honest. It's not going to make you be a slasher fan. I don't think it's on par with something like Thanksgiving from last year, but it was really good for what it was. I wanted something different. It's the fall right now. This was a cool standout flick to me, just to have something different to watch. But I like the revenge stuff. I gotta tell you though, the Scarecrow, obviously there's a supernatural element to this Scarecrow, obviously. And I really like that. I love, again, the lore about this this Scarecrow, who he is, what that seal on the ground those two teenagers ran over and cracked in half meant. I liked all that stuff. I thought it had so much to offer with that. The music is kind of cheap TV music, you know, so that didn't really add enough atmosphere to it. But I like the places it's shot at. It does feel like kind of a small town community. Not as good as Dark Night of the Scarecrow does. I still think I love that way more than this. And that film's essentially bloodless and boobyless, if you will. Now, this movie has a ton of boobs. A lot of boobs, a lot of blood. One of the best things about the Scarecrow is how violent some of the kills can get, if not a little bit repetitive, I would say. One of his things that he does is, and I don't mean this with the air quotes I'm about to throw at you. When I say he's going to put his seed in you, yes, number one, he means that as an innuendo, and number two, he literally does that, but not the way you think. I actually really like the way he does that. It adds some tension in the finale a little bit. It's pretty cool. It's actually pretty cool in some ways. The villain look of the Scarecrow, I think, was very well designed, very fun for what it needed to be. I like this movie. I don't know if I would buy it, but I would totally rewatch this. If it came on real late at night, I totally would rewatch it. But let me tell you, my friend asked me at one point, had I gotten to a flashback scene for like many, many years ago within the movie? And I said, no, not yet. And then later that night when I picked the movie back up again, when I was officially on vacation in Tennessee, my wife and I checked into our cabin and everything, I finished watching the movie that night. And when I got to the flashback scene that he was telling me about, there was one element to that made me laugh so hard because it made no sense for the day and age that flashback takes place in. It was great. It was so great, it made the movie better. It made me realize immediately what they were doing and how stupid this was, what they had to do on the fly back in the day with filmmaking. It was great for that. I do appreciate it for that. But if you're here for blood and guts and nudity, you're going to get that with this movie, and I think you're going to like it. I just think Dark Knight of the Scarecrow is better. Horror FFA is a massive defender of this movie, and rightfully so. I think it's cool. I hear people talk about this every once in a while, but I've never heard people talk in depth about it, which is, kind of a bummer, because I think it deserves more of a spotlight on it. I think this is easily better than Prowler. Like The Prowler, I think this is way better than that. Easily. Easily for me. Not by much, but a little bit. Because The Prowler was such a disappointing movie to me. But anyway, when it comes to Night of the Scarecrow from 1995, if I had to rate this movie, surprisingly, I think I would give it, on a 5-star basis, I'd probably give it like a pretty mildly high 3 out of 5 stars, dude. I enjoyed it. I thought it had some cool stuff to offer. And I think if you're the right person, you like slashers, this is going to be up your alley, man. There's some cool stuff in here that I think you'll appreciate if you haven't seen it before. So anyway, have you seen Night of the Scarecrow? What do you think about it? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you wish it had done different things? I don't know. I'm surprised we never had a sequel to this. I'm assuming because I've never heard of it as a huge slasher fan, that it must have not done well when it came out. It must have not had even the hardcore slasher fans obsessing over it. Maybe they didn't know what they had gotten at the time. But this is cool for what it is. I like it a lot. Anyway, thank you all. Let me know your thoughts about it down below. God bless you guys, and goodbye.